You are now listening to Extreme Cinema with Andrew Legank and David Lawler. If you like sex and violence, evil brunettes, and angelic blondes, then stick with us as we debate some of the best and worst of action and exploitation filmmaking.
This is Extreme Cinema, action and exploitation movies. My name is David Lawler, and I'm joined by my co-host, Andrew Legank.
Howdy.
This is our show. I've known Andrew for nearly 20 years. We worked together in a video store, Flicks Video, 72nd and Broadway, and we ate, slept, drank, smoked, shotgunned, and snorted movies.
Never mind that shit.
Other than myself, I know of nobody who knows as much about movies, little factoids, nuggets, trivia, names, places, and anecdotes than Andrew. So here we are, talking about something we know, which is movies.
Well, let's not start sucking each other's dicks quite yet.
That's a nice change, talking about something we know.
Yes.
What do we got?
Particularly those trashy, culty, exploitative, I hate to use the word, but grindhouse.
Hell
new
yeah.
Poverty Row movies that you would find at the drive-in or in Times Square theaters with sticky floors or direct-to-video. We will be talking about fringe filmmakers, people like Larry Cohen, Jim Wynorski, Fred Olenray, William Lustig, Albert Pune, Charles Band, and tonight's subject, David A. Pryor, from Action International Pictures, and two movies that he directed, Deadly Prey and The Deadliest Prey. Deadlier Prey, Not Terribly Deadly Prey, and the final installment, Dead Prey, with Ted Pryor dusting it up in an old folks' home.
What would you little maniacs like to do first?
Dude, why'd you have to go and spoil it for everybody? They didn't know those were coming. Like, I mean, come on. Like, Deadliest Prey,
The Deadliest Prey. Okay.
Deadlier Prey.
Take a couple of the men and go get another runner. A mean one.
In Nam, he was the perfect killer. Now, he'll have to prove it again.
Run. You're gonna die.
Mike Danton is Deadly Prey.
Danton?
You know him?
Know him. I trained him.
They turned the killer loose on themselves. Troy Donahue, Fritz Matthews, and Cameron Mitchell star in a film so violent it cannot be rated. Viewer caution advised. Killer and teacher face off in a final battle. Only one can survive in Deadly Prey.
What do we got?
Now, this is what we agreed on to do first.
Yes.
To look at those two movies. We've already looked at Deadly Prey, and we're gonna talk about it. So first off, I mean, what were your initial thoughts about the movie? You had seen the movie a while back. You're the one who recommended it to me.
I had. I always had kind of a soft spot for this movie. It's kind of charming in its own weird way. It's of course not something that you're gonna like sit down, you're gonna show like your first date or something.
No,
not at all, because this is a movie that really doesn't like women very much.
This is a movie
slightly
that
homoerotic.
You
might
have to be married for about 7, maybe 8 years, maybe have a couple of financial responsibilities all tied together before you show this to somebody.
Yeah, you need to have a mortgage with your wife before you watch this movie with her, or suggest. You can like
a joint bank account.
You could set up like a meet cute with the movie, so that like she could like be in the room, and then like it just gets put on somehow.
Accidentally.
But if you're like, hey honey, let's watch Deadly Prey, like your relationship is kind of going to be done.
Yeah.
Not gonna.
This is a movie that could end a marriage.
Yeah, it really kind of is. I mean, because like seriously, this movie has some real issues with women. Like this movie does not like women at all.
Well, sort of. Well, I don't know that it has that kind of agenda, because it starts off kind of in a sweet way.
I don't think it has an agenda at all. I think it just comes out. Like it just comes out. I mean, like seriously, like the women sort of play no role except for getting hit, raped,
or killed. Yeah,
killed. And killed really for no reason whatsoever. Except
I know it is. It was shocking. It was Well, first I wanted to talk about the
so that
cast.
he could rip a guy's arm off and beat him to death with it.
Yeah.
Now, right there, like that right there is going to set the stage for what this podcast is all about.
Yes.
If you enjoy movies where a guy rips a guy's arm off and then beats him to death with it, this is the place for you.
That's disgusting.
And I got to say that shot has been duplicated in many animated TV shows. I saw there's an episode of Futurama where a guy. He doesn't cut off the guy's arm and beat him with it. He gets his own arm cut off accidentally, and then he starts beating him.
Guy with the arm, yeah.
Well, first I wanted to talk about the cast.
One movie where a guy does it with a prosthetic leg. I forget what that was. It was a Larry Cohen movie. Something with
Oh man.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to think about that one.
This is where my old memory. When I was like 22, I could remember all this stuff off the top of my head. But now that I'm almost 40, I can't remember all this shit.
Yeah. That happens, man.
It'll come to me tomorrow when I don't need to know it.
Yes. Now I wanted to talk about the cast. Now, mostly the cast is populated with a lot of unknown people that we never heard of before this time. Like Ted
Cameron Mitchell, the guy's like the 90-year-old badass of the world, man.
Now, yeah, the cast is the names in this are Troy Donahue and Cameron Mitchell.
Right.
And they are established stars. I remember seeing Cameron Mitchell. He always played the bad guy in 70s cop shows. He was like a bad guy in Columbo. He was a bad guy on Streets of San Francisco. He's sort of like a bad guy in the William Shatner mold. He's very much kind of a William Shatner.
Not here.
Not here. He is a good guy.
He's the man, yo.
And he was
80 years old, whooping ass up in here.
And he was also in another AIP movie that I remember very fondly, Space Mutiny, which is just hilarious to watch.
I don't think I saw Space Mutiny.
It was a Mystery Science Theater movie, too.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Okay, that's cool.
Troy Donahue was the bad guy in this, right?
Yeah. Well, Troy Donahue wasn't he the? I see. I gotta check. Troy Donahue was the it was the guy that was paying the bad guy. Not the leader of the.
He was the guy in the suit.
Yeah, the guy in the suit who was like, let me get his name. It was Michelson. You remember the guy's sitting at the guy's always sitting at the desk.
He's always sitting at the desk. He has a confrontation.
He's always sitting
with
there
Cameron.
and he's saying these things that like, dude, you really should be standing saying that. And he's sitting there at the desk going, like, listen, Michelson, I'll kill you and I'll eat your children for breakfast. And
yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
The old Hillary Clinton line there.
Eat your babies.
And Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah.
Now, this was like the pattern of these movies back then. Low-budget movies from this time, if you look at a lot of the movies that people like Wynorski and Fred Olen Ray made, they would always put these actors in who were kind of past their prime. They were they weren't getting work in mainstream films.
Right.
And they gave these people new careers. They gave them second careers. They paid them. They treated them with respect. So you'd see people like Troy Donahue. Another one that comes to mind is Fred Olen Ray's Haunting Fear. He cast Jan Michael Vincent when no one else would work with him. Right. Because they called him lazy or independable.
Dude, you had to fucking prop that guy up like every scene because he was so drunk all day.
Yeah.
Like watch Hit List. I mean, like Lustig's Hit List. I mean, and it was a great movie. I love that movie. I just got a better rip of it. We have to do that movie on one of these podcasts sometimes. But anyway. Moving on.
Yeah. Now, loyalty to like actors, crew, and writers was a big thing because this was how they were able to work, and it really bugs me when I see like the Cannon documentary and I see Alex Winter dissing a movie that they hired him. It was like his first work. They paid him, and he goes and disses him. This kind of disloyalty really gets to me.
I think you're right, yeah.
And Maureen Landon and people like that, being very nasty about these people who gave them livelihoods and were
well, in that particular instance, I really thought that does that sound? Am I still sounding okay?
You're sounding all right, yeah.
Okay, so you can hear, because I just put a fan on in here, and I just want to make sure that it sounds
You're
okay.
pretty clear. You're clear.
Okay.
You're
okay.
Good crackle there. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, anyway, yeah, no, I thought it was really bad form of Alex Winter to
It's
be
completely
speaking
unprofessional.
as he was about the canon people in that documentary. I thought he came off looking like an asshole.
Yes.
And I think that really, that was good punishment enough, was the way he came off looking. I think at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's
I mean, I wouldn't say blackball that Alex Winter guy. Don't go see the Bill and Ted sequel that they're going to come out with. But really, Alex Winter. That's why Alex Winter hasn't been successful. It's because he's that guy.
Yeah. Okay, and I wanted to say that what I looked at was not the greatest quality, but I could tell that the
it's
photography.
terrible. That's one of the things about this. A lot of these Action International pictures from back in the 80s and early 90s, they really don't have any other copies other than the VHS copies that were put out in the stores.
Right.
They don't have the hard copy. They were shot on film, I believe.
Well, this one was. I could tell it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wanted to make mention that the photography and the camera work were really quite good.
They weren't bad. I think I always saw the sore spot in the Action International pictures, and this one is certainly not one of the worst. But like the editing could have been better. There's a lot of stuff where they're they cut to a scene and they like they're standing there for like 2 minutes before they actually say something or anything. It's like the editing is a little bit amateur.
I don't know that I noticed that. Maybe I was looking at a different cut, but the thing moved along pretty quickly. It
moves quite well. It's well done. Even the fight scenes were actually fairly well done. And it's obviously like inspired by Rambo.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the story a little bit. Now, what I was able to gather from the story is, like, we start off with this guy who is, like, running around in the woods or something or whatever, and he's being chased by...
Most dangerous game.
Armed militia guys. This is what it seems to be, like a most dangerous game situation. And then they kill this guy, of course.
Don't kill me! Don't kill me! Don't kill me! Please! Please! Don't do it! Please! No!
Then we cut to Ted Pryor and his hot wife. He has a hot wife, and he eats fried eggs for some reason. And then he goes out, I guess.
Fried eggs, yeah.
He goes out for a walk, and then this van shows up. They abduct him. They throw him into the van, and then they strip him down to nothing but like a pair of underwear. He's walking around for almost the entire movie, almost half naked. This is something I wasn't able to follow. Were they aware of who he was? Because I know he had a friend that was a part of their group. Did they know what they were getting into when they abducted Ted Pryor? Because apparently they just like to kill people.
They don't explain it. They just pick him out at random. Like they're driving along. It's like, oh yeah, like that guy has a cute ass. Let's grab him.
Yeah, check him out. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, just to segue in, there's a little bit of homoeroticism in this movie.
A little tiny bit. Just a tad bit. The slow pan up his sweaty body, his bulging biceps, and his pectorals.
He spends the entire movie in a pair of Daisy Dukes fucking with his giant mullet, and like this dude, like Ted Pryor back then was fucking stacked. Like he was like pumping it at the gym, hours a day. I don't know how they did that back then, but his hormones are probably not okay now.
So he immediately sets to work killing these people one by one with his hands. He builds little like shivs or something out of branches. He impales a dude. I remember he impaled a dude with a branch through his heart.
That was one of the worst. That was a weird. I mean, like homoeroticism, like creepy. He this dude is like gonna knife him, and he impales him, and the guy falls on him, and he's got his lips on his cheek, and like there's blood coming down, and he's like just spitting blood.
Yes.
And it's like, wow, that is creepy shit.
It's creepy, but it is effective. This is it was really quite inventive because it kind of reminds me of a little bit of Commando. You remember Schwarzenegger Commando,
yes,
right?
There's a good bit of Commando in there, yes.
Yeah, and it was like the same year, I think, that movie. No, actually, no. Commando came out in 85.
85, yeah.
But
might have been
we're
86.
talking about...
I might be wrong. It might be 86.
Very quickly and quietly snapping people's necks. And then, you know, he doesn't use too many guns in the whole thing. He likes knives, this guy. He likes sharp objects, so... He reminds me of like
he's got two guys behind him like in like near the end, and he's down on his knees and he's got these little throwing knives, and he's got only one hand to do it so that they don't notice, and he just throws one of them and he gets two guys who are really well far away from each other with that one knife. That was incredible.
Yeah. It was like...
I thought that just showed that Mike Danton is awesome.
Now I don't know what you men heard about this organization. But if you think it's going to be an easy score, you better walk out of here while you still can. Colonel Hogan, shut up!
Now, there is a scene in the movie, I just want to bring up the scene from the movie Hot Shots Part 2 with Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
He is mowing all of these bad guys down with a machine gun. Then a whole bunch of other guys start coming toward him. So he just picks up a pile of bullets and throws it at the group of people coming at them, and they all get shot and they all fall down. That sort of reminded me of the movie in a way.
Yeah, there's a little bit. You know, and I don't know if anybody out there is familiar with the Action International Pictures. You know, these guys made a lot of movies, and some of them are there are varying degrees of quality, but a lot of them feature people running around in the woods with guns. Probably the same woods that they shot this in. You know, some of them are like I actually, you know, Ted Pryor stars in a lot of them, and I think he's not a bad actor at all.
Can I ask about Ted Pryor? Yeah. Now he is obviously related to the director, brother.
Yes. I believe his brother. Yeah.
So you have David A. Pryor, I guess, who was not the muscular, good-looking, buff person in the family.
He does have some cameos in some of these, but I don't know if he has a cameo in Deadly Prey or not.
Okay, I do have an issue. I swear that people that he killed earlier in the movie keep popping up in later shots, running by.
That's entirely possible. But
like 5, 6, 7 people that you know he killed somehow pop up again as background action or something.
Well, you gotta economize in these were tough times. Yes. These were tough times.
He's okay.
You know, these guys are making these movies on like very, very tiny budgets, and I think they actually really accomplished a lot. I think what Action International Pictures itself, as a whole, accomplished was these guys made a ton of money doing this stuff, and
I really have to point out very good production value.
They had quite good production value. They did. I mean, back then,
where did they get access to all the tanks and the helicopters?
That's what I was wondering. Is like, if we ever get to talk to these guys at some point, I want to know. Like, did they write the whole movie around the fact that they had that ability to get all those tanks? Because they had a freaking like army. Like, it was insane.
As a filmmaker, if I had access to the stuff, or I knew somebody, hey, can I borrow this location and shoot in it?
Yeah.
You know, that's what I would do to be resourceful and try not to spend money.
Oh, you bet. Yeah, like I was wondering that but halfway through the movie this time, it's like, man, like they probably like got all this shit and wrote this movie around it. I really want to know that. Like, you know, I'm curious.
Now, moving along with the story, Hot Wife talks to Cameron Mitchell. Now, Cameron Mitchell, I don't know, is he her father or something?
Yeah, that's her father. Yeah.
Okay, and
she calls him. He's like an ex-cop, and she calls him when Mike disappears, and says, Daddy, Mike is gone. Can you bring Mike back? And he's like, he asks her about the van. Was it green? Was it red? Was it blah, blah, blah?
Yeah.
What was the license number? Did you get the license number? Like, it's a funny scene.
Yeah. Now, I feel like what we're doing here, we're grabbing people off the street, we're taking their clothes, and we're chasing them with machine guns, and it's like a game, a deadly game of cat and mouse.
It's like a most dangerous game.
Yes. Now, in my notes, I refer to Ted Pryor as Cutie. So I call him, I say, Cutie ain't no ordinary Joe. His hot wife cries, talks to Cameron Mitchell. Is he her cop or father? Well, we answered that. Meanwhile, there's an evil brunette who's getting action from the head bad guy, but he gets, he gets cock blocked basically. Right. Yeah. When he hears Snake Plissken, I mean Liam Neeson, I mean Harrison Ford, I mean Cutie is fighting back. So they follow the trail of dead bodies, and this guy's like a Timex watch. I mean, he just takes a licking and he keeps on kicking. Mm-hmm. Okay, but he recognizes one of the bad guys as an old friend. He knocks him out. He doesn't kill him. That's where he draws the line.
Right.
Then he gets his shoulder dislocated, and then he has to pop it back in, which I thought was the most excruciating scene. Not even comparing to like when he cracked this guy's back against the tree, but having to pop that shoulder. I've dislocated my shoulder before. That son of a bitch hurts.
Yeah, I've done it. It does hurt. It does hurt.
And he screams. He does a lot of screaming too. He even screams.
It was kind of excruciating when you saw him. Like when you saw the guy dislocated. Like it kind of looked like that really happened. Like when the guy grabs his arm and does that to her, like, oh shit, he just dislocated that guy's shoulder.
Yeah. Plus they put in a nice kind of like celery crunch snap.
They did. They did. They were good.
He eats a worm too, which is
the worm eating scene is fucking class. The dude. Okay. Picture this, folks. If you have not seen Deadly Prey, okay. So Mike Denton is hungry. He's trying to find some food. And he's been running all day. All right, so he finds an earthworm in the ground, and he lifts it up, and he's looking at it. He's like, he's not disgusted. He's just looking at it. He's like, man, and he spits on his hand, and he starts to clean the dirt off the worm with spit.
Right.
And it's not clean enough, so he's got to spit on his hand again, and then clean that worm. Like, and then he takes. I cannot. There are no words to describe how he bites the head off this worm and pulls it like a gummy worm.
Yes. Ted Pryor is a serious actor. I would never ask an actor to eat a worm. That's a serious freaking actor right there. It's kind of like when John Waters made Divine eat dog shit in a movie. Now, that's an actor. Yeah, that's an actor. If you're gonna, let me tell you, Ted Pryor came damn close. He didn't eat dog shit, but that worm, man, that worm eating scene is right up there with the dog shit eating scene. That's fucking awesome right there. Now, something ran through my mind while I was watching this. I was thinking about the scene from Bridge of Spies where Mark Rylance refers to Stoyak Musik. Standing man. Right. That is what Ted Pryor is in this. He's a standing man. Oh! Now, moving on with the story, Cameron Mitchell goes out to investigate this whole thing. He gets into like a scrape with Troy Donahue. Does he kill Troy Donahue? I think he does. Yes, he does. Yeah, but then he shoots him by a Suzuki Samurai. It's fucking awesome. He infiltrates the compound where all these guys are. Meanwhile, he hangs out there for like a few hours. It's just chilling. Yeah. Like he beats up some black dude who catches him, and then like he's there just chilling and watching stuff for like a day. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know how that works, but it works for him, I guess. I guess, yeah. Yeah. Meanwhile, like they figure out who Danton is, and then they go and abduct his wife, and then they bring her to the compound. Meanwhile, Cutie makes a fire. He eats a rat or squirrel. I'm not really quite sure what it is, but he's probably thinking about fried eggs. Yeah. And everybody's sitting by a fire. It's actually a pretty decent. There's a scene where his wife is sitting at the fireplace looking at the fire. He makes a fire, and the bad guys are sitting by a fire. Nice little thing there. I like that.
Yeah, everybody's the same.
So the next day, he's
moral relativism of Action International Pictures.
Yeah, moral relativism. Yes. Okay, now the bad guys. So
don't forget about the good old boys show up talking about, hey, you eat that rat over here in this fire here.
For some reason, I thought they were Mexican. I don't know why.
Well, I don't know. They could have been
Mexican rednecks, maybe.
Yeah, but there are Mexican rednecks.
Well, he gets run off by them, but then those guys get killed. They get killed themselves, because these people are completely amoral. I guess this is wrong what they're doing. I mean, I kept thinking,
is the bad guy sunglasses mullet guy is a bad guy. There's some bad guys.
The only one who isn't a bad guy is his friend who winds up helping him. He's the one who wears
his pants around his way up like an old guy.
Yeah,
he wears his camouflage fucking cargo pants up his ass, they look like those hip boots, like fishing hip boots or something that they're all the way way up.
I did want to mention one bit that I thought was kind of unintentionally funny. It's obvious he tries the old Captain Kirk maneuver, which is basically he picks up styrofoam rocks and throws them at people, and they're so obviously styrofoam.
When he rolls the avalanche of there's like a retaining wall at the top of this hill, and and everybody's chasing him, so he just pushes the retaining wall down the hill because that's an easy thing to do. Well, he is Mike Denton, so he can do that. Retaining walls ain't got nothing on Mike Denton. So he pushes it down, and all these styrofoam rocks come, and then they're all hitting them. And they're all like, "Oh my God, they're styrofoam rocks!" Oh.
Yes. No, I also wanted to mention we get this thing is non-stop action until we finally get to, I think what brings the movie to a dead halt is the abduction of the wife, and then eventually, of course, the bad guy rapes her, which I thought was a little bit much.
Yeah, the rape was a little bit over the top, as was just straight up killing the chick. That was not the coolest.
That was really bad. Yeah.
What when you were watching it? Did you get the feeling I want a soundtrack like that? When I do stuff, I want to go dun, dun, dun. Every time I do something, it's like Heather, did you leave the butter out again?
Yeah, I love that. His before we get to that horrible ending, now I was thinking that this is a movie. It should please a crowd that he rescues his wife, and I thought, all the horrible things that happen, and then this happens. I thought that was just terrible.
That's why I'm saying this movie. Heather picked up on it because she was watching it with me. Heather picked up. She's like, this movie really doesn't like women at all. She picked up on it really early.
Well, I don't. The thing is, that's a little bit political. That's a bit of a political statement to make. I don't think the filmmakers were actively saying, "Boy, we hate women. Let's kill them and rape them." And everything.
No. It comes out. It's not. I don't think she was.
I mean,
she wasn't
Henry
saying they were trying to make that statement. She was just saying that, it's whatever it was, whoever was writing it, the writers and everybody making it obviously didn't think much of the women that were in it. They were
there was only one damsel in distress who's the blonde, and then you have the evil brunette.
Evil brunette, yeah, he kills the evil brunette, and now you're cheering that. But the blonde is abused and treated like crap, and you really don't see Denton interacting with her at all very much.
Yeah,
and then he gets taken away, and then she's crying, and I mean, it's kind of pathetic.
Yeah, the thing about it, I didn't need any more reason to hate that guy, and then they just sort of put the icing on the cake of hating this guy.
Yeah,
and also he, before the credits roll, he's still alive.
The bad guy, but he's not the one who shot the chick, though. The guy who shot the chick is the
he's dead.
Guy.
Yeah, but
he got beat to death with his fucking arm.
Yes.
But why did he leave this guy? The end is lame. I don't know what they were going for with the end.
The end,
I don't know what they were going for.
It ends with a bunch of other guys. He kills a bunch of, he chops the guys.
He kills everybody, gets to the lead guy, and I guess they were going for the Rambo thing where he lets the guy live, but why did he do that?
Yeah, I know. It's kind
of, what was his motivation there?
Well, this is what I wrote in my final thing here. We need to do a body count on this. I think somebody estimated that 81 people died in this movie.
Really?
People are dying in this movie who've died 2 or 3 times before. That's what I wrote. The hot wife is just a piece of luggage in the movie. She gets killed.
Raped.
Raped, yeah.
She's like a, yeah.
Cutie goes berserk, cuts off the guy's arm, beats him with the arm, and then scalps him.
He does scalp him, and then he throws the scalp at, this is what's left of your best man. And the guy knows he's beat right there.
And he also painted his face,
do with me what you will, Mike Denton. Do with me what you will.
And then we cut to Denton, and he screams. And he screams really loudly, and then we freeze the frame, and then the credits roll, and that's the end of the movie. And I wrote, "What a downer!"
Yeah, it was a real downer. Like, why couldn't they let the chick live, and they all could have walked happily off ever after?
Yeah, I know. It's weird. It's an unusual decision to make. Maybe this goes back to low budget movies. Maybe low budget movies don't care about happy endings. Maybe they want an ending that's indifferent. That's the whole thing struck me as catharsis in a way. It's symbolic. The whole thing is like this. He's like some kind of, he's bad luck around the people who love him, and he's kind of a sacrificial lamb character.
See, these are the kind of questions I want to ask. Is like, how did the ending come up? Did you guys argue about the ending? Was there, did anybody have any different ideas about the ending? Was there an alternate ending? Like, before you guys shot it, then you figured, hey, let's just make this screaming weirdo.
See, the thing is, I would do it 2 ways. I have all my principal people on the set. I'm like, okay, let's do a happy ending. Then let's do a sad ending. And then we'll test. Well, I don't believe in testing. Just look at them.
Looking
side by
and
side.
seeing what works. I mean, you could tell what works. You know what works.
Yeah, and I think maybe there was some kind of important statement here that we're missing.
What was the statement? Well, yeah,
the statement is
maybe
that
it was something
everybody
of the times
dies.
that we weren't aware of.
That if you have a wife, she'll be abducted, raped, and murdered.
Yeah,
maybe that's the message.
Hang out more with the guys that you work out with at the gym instead.
All right, so any final thoughts on Deadly Prey?
Dude, Deadly Prey is the shit, man. It's fucking awesome.
All right, I do agree. It is a very enjoyable movie, and I think it's not something. I mean, like, obviously the snobs out there aren't going to appreciate a movie like this because.
Yeah, well, fuck them. Man. What have they done for us lately?
The snobs have done nothing.
They give us shitty movies. They don't give us movies that are good as Deadly Prey. I really liked how they recycled the score from the first one, and it actually kind of showed how scores aren't as good as they were back then. If you were to make a movie like Deadly Prey now, you wouldn't get that kind of score. It just wouldn't happen. And I liked how they took a modern day repetitive lame score and then added the original score to it.
It was it was a synth heavy and electronic drum kind of a thing, where and also I felt like this time around they cleaned it up. It sounded new. It sounded like it was actually redone.
It did, but it also brought back all of that stuff, and like, it was cool. Yeah.
But there were
it was like, and every time that would play, I would go, yes, like, I like this.
You are absolutely correct, sir, when you say about music nowadays. It's all orchestrated, beautiful orchestrations, very cinematic, a very big epic scope with a lot of this stuff. And also, this is the issue with movies these days, is that everything has to be freaking epic. It always has to be big. Yeah. They want it. I took, I didn't take, but Bronwyn took Regan to see The Jungle Book the other day. And they loved it and everything. It's a big epic. It's like this epic thing. And this is how they feel they have to compensate for the very high ticket prices we have now. You can't just relax, settle in for some modest charm like a Deadly Prey movie anymore.
You can't just watch Deadly Prey while relaxing in your sleep.
You just can't. You can't sit back and just watch something that's a diversion, takes you out of your world for a little while. Now everything has to be big, and it always has to be epic, and it always has to have a
animals
message.
Jumping out at you in 3D.
All right, think about this.
There's no half-naked guys in their cut-off jean shorts.
This. Now, you were telling me about the movie The Revenant, right?
Yes.
A movie like The Revenant could be made by AIP for no money. They just go out there and they fucking do it. But The Revenant is like this enormous epic.
Ted Pryor in a bear suit and have him fuck some other guy. And,
absolutely.
And you're hitting all the fucking hot points with that one right there.
For me, there is absolutely no reason that a movie like The Revenant needs to be this enormous, epic, extremely high-budget movie when it could be done for no money with an AIP-type group out there. It's the same premise. It's survival. It's outwitting your opponent. It's cat and mouse. It's the most dangerous game. It's all of this all put together, and you could do something like that. You can't do that now. You can't not make a simple movie anymore. Now it has to be complicated. That's what irritates the hell out of me.
We do that to ourselves. There's a lot of truth in that. There's a lot of truth in that. I don't think that the AIP guys ever wanted to make a movie like The Revenant. But
they could. It's about manly men. It's action. It's survival. It's everything.
It is, but again, it's a little bit more cerebral than anything they ever really wanted to make. They never really wanted to get there. If they did, they probably would have. They never wanted to be serious. These are a bunch of guys that got together to have fun making movies. If you read the interview with David Pryor, you'll see a little bit of that of how these guys had a lot of fun making these movies.
Yeah.
And that was primarily
because they actually love movies.
Their aim. That was their aim was to have fun. Now, and Ted, in the interview, Ted says that David was the technical guy.
Right.
He's not a director that directs actors. He's interested in what the shot looks like and all this stuff.
Right.
Apparently, I don't want to diss anybody here, but apparently he's not too much into what happens in post-production, only what happens when he's getting the shot. That's what I see when I look at a David A. Pryor movie.
Get the shot. Just get the shot.
Get the
Take
shot.
The shot.
You're fucking dead.
You're fucking dead. Take the shot.
Sorry.
Wolfgar.
You're the only person on Earth who would ever get that reference.
That's another one we need to look at. Who directed that? George Cosmatos? No. I'm sorry. That was Bruce Malmuth directed.
Yeah, Bruce Malmuth. Yeah, who also directed Hard to Kill.
And he also directed The Man Who Wasn't There, that very horrible Steve Guttenberg Invisible Man movie.
Oh my God! Really?
Yes.
I don't even know if I saw that. Gosh.
I don't know why I was thinking
Bruce
George
Malmuth. The two movies I know him for are Nighthawks, which is what we were just doing for those out there in the audience, and Hard to Kill, which is Steven Seagal's second movie from.
Good one, another good. That's quite a good one, actually.
Yeah, it is.
But there is another director we can add to this list. The one I missed, I got wrong. But George Cosmatos, he's a guy we could
He's
look
dead.
at a couple
But I love.
What
do we got?
So we have the Deadliest Prey. This is from 2013.
It's not over yet, Hogan.
Wait. I think I might have found something. Do either of you remember a guy named Mike Danton?
You're crazy, Hogan. You remember me?
Yeah, isn't he the guy that they based Rambo on or something?
Sounds so crazy.
It was in the 80s, but I remember my dad talking about this guy. Some sort of weird military training exercise where people were hunting other people.
The whole world was going to see who's really the best.
It might be happening again. Take a look at the link.
He's going to kill us all.
And I'm going to kill you, too. Have a nice day.
Also directed by David A. Pryor and starring his brother Ted A. Pryor, as well as his nephew. Another little Pryor in there.
Yeah, there's a little Pryor running around.
There's a little Pryor. The little boy.
Ted had a little boy later in life there, because he's not very old.
And he winds up kind of saving his life. He winds up being a hero, which is nice. I like that. But it opens almost exactly the way the first movie began. You have this big open field, you have a silhouetted figure, then you have quick cuts, the weapons being loaded, preparations being made, and the credits roll. Unfortunately, the look of it is a lot cheaper for me. Even the titles look like
wait. All right, this movie comes on. I just want to like put out like how I felt when I saw this movie. Okay, at the beginning, it starts out okay, and the way it starts out, they've got a guy running through the forest, just a forest, but running through the woods, just like the guy at the beginning of the last movie. Okay,
right,
and then they've got a bunch of guys chasing him in camouflage. Okay, and then they keep rerunning footage of the same guys doing the same thing, and I'm like, and my head goes in my hand like a face palm, and it's like, fuck, they have no idea what they're doing, and they're remaking this fucking movie, and they have no idea at all. Like they're just totally off the mark. Then like the guy wakes up from a dream in the prison cell, and it's like, oh, they do know what they're doing.
This exercise is over. It's not over yet, Hogan.
Hogan, you out of here in 30 minutes. Get your shit together.
Ain't nothing here, I won't.
You suit yourself.
He's laughing his sick fucking ass off.
The guy
I
in the
was
prison
looking
cell.
at this movie in terms of the guys making it, and that was why that's why I think I enjoyed it more than you did.
Well, the issue for me was that number one, it just looked cheaper. Like I said, the titles look like they were made on your old Hi8 camera. You remember that camera, the one you lent me?
I do. Yeah.
It kind of looks like okay. And now this may be this is something I wasn't thinking about. But the thing is, this movie was made maybe 3 years ago.
Right.
It feels incomplete looking at it. It looks like a very rough cut. Like a lot of things could have been polished a little more. It didn't quite have it didn't like the audio was uneven, and a lot of the dialogue cuts that were not made precisely on the mark so that we can advance to the next shot, and little bits of audio escape into that next shot, little repeat bits,
right?
Well, like a director
AIP, like David A. Pryor's always had that same kind of stuff. There's like bad editing, bad blocking, bad like obviously, or even if they are in the same room when he's editing together a conversation, like it feels like they're not, like things are off balance, a lot in his movies. They always have been, and this is no different.
I don't comparing it to the first. That movie for me was almost seamless. I mean, it had a couple of every movie's got its little problems or whatever production wise. Even a movie like Aliens or the first Terminator, there are little bits of imperfections that kind of show up accidentally, and some things that are obvious to certain people, right. how sometimes shots don't match, and some things are out of focus, and some things have some bad Foley work. But actually, the Foley, I didn't really have a problem with this in this movie. Right, so the whole thing starts off like that, like you just mentioned. Then we cut to David Campbell, who is Colonel Hogan again. He wakes up in prison. He's getting released, and he gets picked up by this new evil brunette. This one has really big teeth.
She's really not very hot or anything. Yeah,
she got a great ass, and you got your head all the way up it.
She keeps talking in this weird seductive voice, but it's also like she's not very good at all. Like she's talking to him, and he says, "Stop talking and start driving, bitch."
It's good to see you, Colonel. You look pretty good for having spent 25 years in that place. I've got the new camp set up and training's already started just like you told me to do. I was hoping that...
Hey! Stop talking and start driving, bitch.
It's like, okay, man.
But then you see them, like, they cut to a further shot, and the two of them are, like, laughing at that. And, like, And it's like they cut back to like a little bit further, and you see this smile on his face, and you're like, and now he has not aged well. I don't know how old he is. You can't get his
David
birthday
Campbell
on
as
IMDb.
I want to say he's around the same age as Ted Pryor, something.
No
like that.
way, he's older.
No. Well,
No
it's quite possible. You could look him up on the maybe look him up on the
I looked him up as
IMDb,
best
but
I could.
He's
not. His birthday's not there.
That's weird. Some people age differently than other people. I mean, like I just looked at a picture today. A friend posted of Ringo Starr and his son, who is 48 years old. His son looks like he's 40 years older than his father. Ringo has aged
Father had
remarkably
a ton of fucking plastic surgery, probably.
I don't know. Usually there are tells when people get plastic. I'm not sure about men, but women
sometimes
definitely.
it's done really well. It depends. I mean, there are certain people.
I think,
and there are
Campbell,
certain people do age differently, and Ted Pryor probably uses growth hormone stuff because he's a bodybuilder from way back.
Life finds a way.
He is, but mercifully, he keeps his shirt on for this entire exercise.
He does, but he's in pretty good shape. I mean, he's 50. He's like 55 years old.
Yeah,
and
he's 55.
He's in pretty damn good shape. Actually, it's funny. He kind of gets in better shape throughout the movie. He starts out a little more flabby than he is towards the end. And considering he was
54 at the time of shooting. Yes, he looks fantastic. And also, I just want to put it out there first. I have a million problems with this movie, but Ted Pryor was not one of them. I thought
Ted Pryor was
exceptional in this. And a matter of fact, I think he was better in this movie than he was in the first movie because there's
I want to see more of him. I want him to do more stuff.
What did I write? I have some notes here about this. I really like his face. He's aged quite well. At the time of the shooting, he was 54. There's a lot of pain in his features and some of his wrinkles. He has like a lot of character in his face, and he has like this kind of a sympathetic quality to all his killing now, right? He's killing all these people, and he's never gleeful. He's never happy. He looks miserable doing this, and I feel like he's
tired,
just completely,
especially at the beginning, or he's just tired.
Yes,
and then he starts to get more energized as the story progresses.
You are now listening to Extreme Cinema with Andrew Legank and David Lawler.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
You're the great and powerful Mike Danton. You've got to be kidding me, right? Right? You sure don't look like much to me.
Looks can be deceiving.
Yeah. It's gonna be the easiest money I've ever made.
You think so?
No, I know so.
You're not so smart, are you, pal?
What? What?
It's simple. You're dead.
I don't know if that was by design or not, or if that was honestly.
I just think he's good. He's good. He's always interesting.
Have you ever seen Born? What is it? It's Born Killers or Born Killer. That's an AI Action International Pictures on. Really good performance from Ted Pryor in that.
Well,
that was where I really started. That was a movie that made me remember who he was. that really brought me into the AIP.
Was this after
world.
this movie was after Deadly Prey?
Yeah. This was in the early '90s.
The early '90s,
I think,
okay.
or maybe it was like '89 or something. It was back in the day when I was getting screeners from everybody.
Well, what I thought,
I got
at the
screeners
first...
from AIP.
Oh, that is awesome! And you still have it?
Yeah. No, I think I tossed everything.
Oh man, I still kept all my screeners. The ones
Dude, it's fucking a VHS tape. There are VHS rips that don't have property of on them online.
Oh yeah, but
I mean, fuck it.
Those are screeners though.
I know, but
now,
like, what am I gonna do with them? I don't have space for all that shit.
Well, I got a tiny little one-bedroom apartment. I've dragged this shit with me all across the world, and it's still in there.
Look,
some shit I had to throw out, unfortunately.
An antique dealer for a father, okay? I got enough shit to drag around. I don't need to drag that shit around.
I did have to throw out a number of VHS, but a lot of it was just stuff I kind of recorded on my own that really doesn't have any value to me, so...
Yeah.
But, but I
did throw out all of my recordings.
Unfortunately, you know what I think I threw out? I think I threw out Night Patrol. I had it on VHS. You can't find it anywhere.
You can't find Night Patrol? I
don't think you can find it anywhere.
Oh, it's online.
So what I was thinking about with Deadly Prey from '87 is that Ted Pryor was like this good-looking, muscular, buff guy. He didn't say much. That was interesting. Also, the difference between this movie and the sequel is that there's way more dialogue in this movie, and that is unfortunate because a lot of his dialogue is really stupid. But what I thought about Ted Pryor was that, that's all he was. He was just sort of this object, this elemental force in the movie. But in Deadliest Prey, he's playing the same character, but he's playing him as an older guy, and there's a lot of like horror behind his eyes. There's a lot of remorse. There's like, I kind of believe this character if he were to tell me that he's seen some shit, because
I wish, you know what I wish. Remember when he said he sent the guy back to Hogan to tell him that he's not the only one who's had 25 years to get pissed off. I wish that they had explored that more.
Stop shaking. I'm not gonna kill you. You're not? Not yet, anyway. I want you to take a message to Hogan. You tell him to let it go. If he doesn't, everybody is gonna die. You got that? Yeah, I got it. I got it. And you tell him he's not the only one that had 25 years to get pissed off. Go.
I really, what I wish is that they had gotten an actor who could have. They just that scene goes on interminably long because he's like, he has a message for you, and he's like, well, tell me the message, and it was like, well, he said all that. Yeah.
Well, I don't know what the message is.
It just sort of goes on. You don't really need that. You don't need that, but you could sell it with a much better actor. That young man that they cast, in addition to all the very young people that are in this movie.
You have to understand, this is not a serious movie. Everyone, this is a bunch of people getting back together who haven't seen each other, done a movie together in 20 years, 25 years at least, and it's also. They're trying to recreate and pay homage to the original movie. So it's the idea that he's going to indiscriminately kill every asshole like who says anything wrong is they play that to the hilt because that was what was in the original movie.
Don't waste my motherfucking time.
But there was also like this repetitive dialogue that kept going on where he keeps saying, and then his wife later on keeps saying, I'm going to kill all of you. He's going to kill all of you. He's going to kill you. And all this. And Hogan is just like, I don't know what, okay, this is my problem. Let's get into the story for a minute, okay? Like, the guy gets out of prison. Automatically, he's got a new plan. He's got, like, apparently a bunch of investors for what it amounts to really nothing more than revenge, right? And it turns out that the whole thing is being photographed for, like, a web series, right? Which I thought was an interesting idea.
They kind of add a little Hunger Games to it, which is what they were kind of going for, I guess. There were they get into that a little bit with the when he's setting off bombs in the woods there to force what's his name?
You talking about Danton? Or?
Danton, yeah. God, how could I forget that name? They're never going to let me forget this. Anyway, he's forcing Danton into the, where he wants him to go by blowing up things in the woods, just like in Hunger Games. And so there was a little Hunger Games going on. There was a little maybe Running Man going on there.
A little. And I do like the internet conceit of this, but the problem is, 28 years in prison. No, this is all he's thinking about. Thank you. Well, okay, what I was saying, Danton should have really killed this guy when he had the chance. I thought when you got out of prison, maybe you get a second chance at life, you get a job, you talk to your probation officer, but this guy goes right back to what he did before. 28 years is a long time to think about what you've done. But I will say the pacing is still pretty top-notch. It's fast, because 11 minutes into the movie, he's already abducted. And we start off in the same way, don't we? We start with him in bed. He gets up. He's having breakfast. He has a wife and child now, a new wife, and his child.
Thankfully, she is neither killed nor raped.
True that.
Yes, which is nice. A nice change of pace.
It's a nice change. It's an updating for the times.
But I kept saying, don't take out the garbage, Danton. Don't take out the garbage. And then we get a cameo. We get a cameo from David A. Pryor asking directions or something.
Yeah.
He's the guy in the car asking for directions.
Right.
So he goes out, and then again, another van pops up, and he gets, he has this, there's like this fade out right after he gets punched, and that's when the first laugh happened for me.
Yeah, well, I thought that was a pretty cool way of dealing with it. It wasn't an unintentional laugh for me. I thought it was a pretty cool way of dealing with it. I mean, look, my expectations for this movie were already like way down near the ground. So, the way I knew that they were going to basically, revisit the first movie. So I was just sort of just watching how they did it, and I thought that was pretty well handled, actually. And also I'm used to some of the AIP hackery of back in the 80s, and I don't know whether they didn't learn how to do it the right way over the years, or if they were just paying homage to things and continuing to do it the wrong way. I don't know.
If I were to speculate, I would just say that this was like a rough edit, that it wasn't completely fixed, and little trims here and there would have upped it. But then I can spot a bad actor very easily, and this is where we get to the point of the gamers, those hacker types.
They were miscast. They were terrible actors. They were too old for what they were doing.
They were hanging out at the table with their laptops.
All of them.
Right. And he killed like everybody.
So like Terminator 2 then, or?
No, man. This was for real, dude.
Pretty much, yeah.
That just sounds so crazy.
I mean, it is crazy, but it actually happened. And it might be happening again. Take a look at the link.
I mean, it looks cool, but I can't believe this is real.
Well, it might not be, but it might. So why don't we take a look at it until we find out?
True that.
And they're like, hey, here's something. Woo, hey, I know that guy. That's Mike Danton. You remember that story about that guy who was stuck in...
Oh, yeah.
Mike Danton. But their delivery was very much like this. It was like, hey, Andrew, I see Danton on the computer.
True that.
Really?
And then the woman goes,
oh, wow.
True dat.
Yeah.
True that.
She kept saying, true dat.
Yeah. True that.
Yeah.
And I felt like David A. Pryor was like, in the background saying, okay, we got to come up with some catchphrases that the kids are going to love, Yeah. And they're like, okay, you say this. And then like the actress is like, but David, you've got me saying true dat 5 times. Don't you think that's a bit much? And he says, oh, yeah, okay. He crosses it out and writes, I heard that. So he says, say I heard that. And they're like, brilliant. But this girl was horrible. She was so terrible. And, I mean, like, I understand how it is with actors now. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of people out there who call themselves actors. I've had auditions with people who had a lot of credentials on their resumes, right? And you think they have a lot of experience, right? And then they come in, and they're just they do this monologue that they've been working on for a year or two, and they're terrible. The delivery is just terrible, and you just have to kind of sense it.
What was interesting was like some of the people that some of the mercenaries quote unquote, that Danton was taking out in a montage later looked like people that should have been like playing the hackers, like fat younger guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Jesus Christ! He's gonna kill us all! Shut up!
The hackers were like,
I was wondering if those were the guys. See, this is the type of question that I would ask Ted Pryor or David A. Pryor. Like, are those guys that like you brought in like to audition for these roles that didn't make the cut? They just couldn't do it, but they they looked the part, and you gave them another part instead where they had no dialogue, and it was just Danton killing them. Like where did these people come from? Is that how because there's like two of them at least like that look like seriously like they were there for the part of the geeks, but they didn't get that part.
There was a guy that I think I mentioned to you who got impaled with a bunch of branches, and he's kind of like an overweight guy. It's weird. And he goes blah, like it's just like, what? Did he just go blah? It's like, cut, let's do that again. Is that how you see death? That are like, yeah, this is how I would die.
Just like at the end, fuck.
Yeah, well, Campbell, you know what, Campbell, he the actor David Campbell who plays Hogan, also not bad. He's not bad, but he's a little bit too.
He's over the top, but
he's a little too mustache twirly. And
that was intended, and I even liked how they addressed some of the homoerotic stuff, like that was in the first movie,
I don't know. You know what's funny? In '87, you could do that. You could have that kind of level of homoeroticism, right? But only today do we comment on it because I guess we're in a homoerotic obsessed culture, right?
We kind of are.
But in '87, we didn't see that. We just saw it because we
had
Rambo
had a dude running around in his fucking Daisy Dukes with nothing else on for the whole fucking
Schwarzenegger, and it
movie.
was like a tribute to this muscular, violent male form. It's like a male archetype.
Check out the big brain on Brad. You're a smart motherfucker. That's right.
I love that. That was honestly like the best gag in the movie was when at the end when he's getting all his shit out of his house after he kills the chick with the big teeth.
Great ass!
And he's in his house. He's getting out his guns out of his shed and all this stuff like Commando.
Yeah, which was like another kind.
Like,
it was a
he grabs the Daisy
retread.
Dukes out of the thing, and he looks at him and throws them back in.
Yeah, he doesn't want to do that. It's kind of like Bruce Willis in Die Hard 2. He spent the entire Die Hard movie being barefoot and having to walk across broken glass, and he was like, I'm not doing that shit anymore. Okay, getting into the story a little bit more, the hackers decide they're going to save Danton, which is just hilarious because
this is a meaningless subplot. It's bullshit.
These bad guys obviously do not care, and it's kind of reminds me of you know what the hackers remind me of? They remind me of Scatman Crothers in The Shining. He goes through all that time to rescue the boy and his mother from their crazy dad, and he winds up getting an axe to his chest for his troubles.
But I liked Scatman Crothers.
Yeah, but he goes there and he winds up getting hit with the axe, and that's it.
If Scatman Crothers was one of the hackers in this movie, I would have liked them too.
True that.
and if he threw in a little song at the end
too. I liked Scatman Crothers in everything he ever did.
Anyway, what I was going to say, there was a movie that Scatman Crothers was in, directed by Bob Rafelson with Jeff Bridges and Sally Field, and it was about body doubles, and it was also bodybuilders. Jesus
bodybuilders.
Christ.
It's a Bob Rafelson movie about bodybuilders.
Yeah, it was called Stay Hungry, and
Stay Hungry with
Schwarzenegger
yes,
was in it.
Yes.
Playing a violin or a fiddle. He plays a country fiddle. Schwarzenegger
Carruthers was in that.
Who?
Scatman Carruthers was in that.
Yeah, he was in it.
Wow.
He was in the movie.
I might have to actually watch that now.
It's
it looks
actually
like
a great movie,
and
I might do it for Vintage Cable Box because I did catch it on cable at that time.
Does it actually have a story? Well, it's Bob Rafelson, so it sort of has a story. It's like a,
it has a story. It's about a guy. Jeff Bridges plays like some rich, rebellious scion who inherits a bodybuilding club or a gym, and he wants to sell it, and then he finds all these eccentric characters that populate the place, and he kind of falls for Sally, and they start running the place, and yeah,
Do they do it in the bathroom?
Movie. I don't know that they do it in the bathroom. I do know that there is one scene of her completely starkers. And
oh wow,
she's not bad. I gotta say.
Does she have pubic hair?
It was the 70s, man. Of course she had pubic hair.
Great ass!
She probably even had armpit hair. I don't know about that, but
inquiring minds want to know.
Of course they do. This is very important.
These are the questions that keep things going.
True that.
Now, yeah, unfortunately, you know what? This movie could have really needed. I mean, other than some better actors and stuff and better dialogue, could have needed some sex. I was like,
well, he did take her into the other room.
Yeah. I'll be back in 15 minutes.
That was funny as hell.
That's what I wrote. I wrote here, Hogan is a 15-minute man.
Yeah.
He doesn't even bother with foreplay. It's just like, get on your knees.
Yeah, get on your knees. Yeah.
Because I was thinking this actress is...
I'm going to take a 10-minute nap.
I was watching this actress, and I don't have her name offhand. I think it's Tara Kleinpeter. I'm not sure. But I was looking at her, and I was thinking, porno actresses are better than this woman. She better have a nice rack, and then she doesn't even get naked. So I was really disappointed with
great ass!
That second group of men ready to go?
Of course.
Get them moving. Make sure they know what to do.
Does this mean we have a little time to fool around?
No! Means we have more time to have fun with Denton.
Sometimes I think you'd rather screw him than me.
You might be right.
But, okay, moving on. So the gamers, they get into their little Hyundai or whatever it is. It's some kind of a compact car, and they go out into the woods.
It was a Chevy Cobalt, you non-car owning guy, you.
Whatever. It looked like a piece of shit, whatever they were driving.
It was a piece of shit. Although I drove one, 10 years ago. They were good. They haven't made them for a while. The Chevy Cobalt was an Opal. And Opal, Opals are good cars. GM makes Opals in the rest of the world, and they don't usually bring them into the United States because they bought Opal, and they brought that into the United States as a Chevy Cobalt, and it was a good car. Actually, they're a pretty reliable car as far
what's
as
the miles per gallon?
It's a 4-cylinder, small little car, so it's they actually should be pretty good. But you don't see a lot of them on the road, so I imagine they didn't last long. I don't know. Noah was a GM tech, he can tell you. But he gave the Cobalts high marks.
All right, so they're in the car. They've triangulated his position, and they're out to go and rescue him because they think they can do that. Now, there is a scene where they're watching the news. I don't know where we are. Where are we? In an internet cafe? There's a bunch of people watching this. Is this some kind of like an internet cafe situation?
I don't think we're supposed to ask questions like that.
They seem to be watching as though they were an audience, and then I guess subscribing to something because, that
you would think, that the internet millionaires with the weird accents that
like the jackass. One of them says, "Just kill them, get rid of them," right? And then they don't even show it either. We hear 3 gunshots, and we assume that I guess the millionaires are dead or something.
Well, you gotta save money on squibs.
Okay, so he notices the woods have been wired with cameras, right? But this can't be legal. I mean, can you subscribe to this with a PayPal account, you think?
Maybe, or Bitcoin.
And how much would it cost?
I don't know.
In Bitcoin money?
A tenth of a Bitcoin.
A tenth of a...
I don't know.
What's the rate of exchange for a Bitcoin? I forget.
I don't know. It was like $300 last time I looked, but I don't know now.
Wait, for 1 Bitcoin?
Yeah.
That's a lot. Okay.
It is.
Never mind. I was gonna invest in that shit, but never mind. So I was gonna say some of the violence is a little awkward.
Yeah.
Impaling the poor guy who just needed the job looked a little clumsy to me.
It did.
And then the gamers are having this hysterical conversation about movies that were based on Danton, which I thought was clever. They were like, that was the guy they based Rambo on, and stuff like that. That's the in jokes that I like. I prefer in jokes where they're actually thinking about it. Yeah. And I know that Pryor, the director, is making a comment on something here. He's making a comment on internet entertainment or something.
Right.
I feel that was clever and deliberate as well.
Right.
This is I had this problem with the first movie too. This movie shares a problem with this, and in every action movie ever made. and you know what I'm going to say. In all of these movies, they never swarm on the one guy. They take turns, and they get killed. Why is that?
You want to take that issue with this movie? I mean, this movie...
I take it with this. I take it with Rambo. I take it with everything. Terminator.
In Rambo, that doesn't happen. In Terminator, it doesn't matter if it happens.
If we all converge on this guy, we might have a shot at putting him down. But instead, they're like, okay, it's Mark's turn, and he's dead. Okay, it's Jim's turn, and he's dead.
This movie is built on stuff like that. You know, this movie is you have to take this movie in its own universe where stuff like that occurs. Like it you can't hold it to stuff like that. Now a bigger movie where you're supposed to take it more seriously, then yes. But this movie, come on. Yeah, they're going to take him on one at a time. For Christ's sake, they can't even film that properly. I mean, you know, come on. Like, I mean, you know, it's so badly edited. And actually, this time, I felt that Ted was actually doing a better fighting job than he did in the first one, but the editing was still shitty.
He was, well, you know, I think it might have came from practicality because the dude is in his 50s, so he's figuring, okay, how can I dispatch these people as quickly as possible? Because in the first movie, he does all this choreographed fighting stuff, and he's twirling in the air, and he's twirling, and he's
wasn't that good in the first movie.
He's impaling, and there's a little more fluid artistry to it because he is younger. But in this one, he's just like, just get to it. Just cut to the chase, cut to the quick, you know.
By the way, you mentioned the schedule. They used to shoot movies, and when they were in the AIP days, they did them in 8 days. And according to an interview that I read with Ted Pryor, and this one they shot in 3 weeks.
3 weeks, really?
And they did it. He said, so they got on the set at 6 and they were out by 3 or 4 in the afternoon.
That's
so whereas they used to be there for 8 days straight, like nobody left.
You know what? Okay, that's interesting. You bring that up because I'm thinking about the fact that this was shot on HD. I would say part of it was shot. There are certain scenes that do not match visually with whatever camera they're using for a lot of the talking scenes or the sit-down exposition or tripod scenes, right? They're using a different camera for some of these exterior shots of running through the woods. I could tell because there was a definite loss in frame quality. Right. It kind of looked like 30 FPS as opposed to 24 FPS. Now the high def stuff is well shot. It's shot enough. It's lit fairly well.
It was okay.
To your point, what I think this is that when you're working with HD, you have unlimited stock. Let's say unlimited, because it's a lot cheaper to shoot.
Right.
Now, if you're working 8 days with film, you have to do everything just right. It has to be done, and it has to be done in a very economical way.
Right.
So if you could do a movie like Deadly Prey in 1987, which had much better production values than this one.
And they shot it on film, no doubt.
And they shot it on film. That's
yeah.
because they had limited stock and everything had to be just right. So there was probably a lot of preparation beforehand before they even got to their location. And also, we did theorize that Pryor is just a filmmaker who grabs what he has and makes a movie around that.
Right.
It has to be. I mean, if you're working on a limited budget, then you use your resources. You take advantage of what you have around.
I'm curious in that particular point where because they had a lot of resources on the first one. The second one they had next to nothing. Like that helicopter scene, which is unintentionally hilarious. And it's
helicopter,
awesome.
Yeah, right. I mentioned this.
It
looked like it was from a different movie.
It's as good as Operation 0007 with Neil Connery.
Neil Connery. The
toy boats in the bathtub.
I'm gonna have to do it. Your shoal for the slime of humanity.
Your shoal. I like it.
True that.
Anyway, there's a couple of bad day for night shots as well, and then there's also definitely. I saw some fake rain in there. It didn't look like real rain. It looked like rain that was added in the computer because
I don't even remember anyway.
Because Danton didn't even look wet. I'm not sure about the fire though, but I do know the explosions looked real, so I assume that they had real explosions.
Okay. take your word.
But a lot of off-screen firing of guns and death of people and things like that was
That's typical AIP stuff from back in the day. If you're familiar with how they do stuff, that's how they do it. You know,
I do want to go back and look at some. I know I've seen a couple of those movies, but I want to go back.
I do recommend Born Killer.
Born Killer. Also, I mean, like something that might be really funny is Space Mutiny, like I mentioned before.
Right.
That was directed by his partner, I believe, David Winters.
Winters and Pryor and Winters did some other stuff, I believe. I'm just going by memory on this, so don't hold me to it. But I believe Winters did a bunch of other stuff outside of AIP prior to AIP that Pryor did not. Prior to AIP that Pryor did not. Yes, that's what I was trying to do.
The people who came together to form AIP had already.
Yes.
Yeah, they had made movies outside of their company. I forget what happened to AIP. I believe Pryor sold his interest or something, and it still might be around in name only.
I don't think it's around in name only, but it might be around like in actuality, but called something else. But I mean, I think that they, I'd love to know what became of them and what they did for all these years afterwards. Because you can look on David A. Pryor's IMDb. He hasn't been all that busy.
Do you think something happened to AIP that was along the lines of what happened to Canon, that they outgrew their business model and tried to spend more money on productions?
I don't know, because I mean, if you look at their productions, you won't see that there. I mean, they weren't making Superman or anything. They just stopped doing what they were doing.
Or could it have been like a filmmaker, a colleague of mine, Mick Cribben, said that the bottom fell out of the market when Reagan deregulated the cable industry or something? It affected all of these smaller production companies, and some of them
they were going into the 90s, well into the 90s. It had nothing to do with Reagan. I mean, their heyday was like in the very late 80s, post Reagan, like 88, 89. Like 89 was when like they blew up, and then you were seeing AIP stuff well into the 90s.
I need to look at that book that I was telling you about before. It has an interview with Fred Olenray where he talks a little bit about how something in the economy, in the country's economy, shifted that made it really almost next to impossible to continue to do these, low budget or no budget drive-in or direct-to-video movies.
Well, I think that the shift from VHS to DVD and the change from that was coming. Didn't take very long to get there, and you're talking where everything became sell through and nothing was $90. The entire industry protected rental business went away.
Right. Yeah. What was talked about in those documentaries, Rewind This and Adjuster Tracking, they talked about. Blockbuster coming in and destroying the mom and pop situation. When
everything comes out sell through, then what's your point? What's the point of like paying like $5 to rent the freaking thing? You can buy it for like $15.
Yeah, and a lot of these owners said that Blockbuster got really good discounts. They could never prove it, but they got really good discounts on a lot of high-priced videos.
Of course they did.
And then they would turn them over very quickly and make back their profit.
Right.
Make it back for a profit, and mom and pops were a lot of what AIP and companies like it had to rely on, because they would go and pick up these movies that Blockbuster wouldn't.
And also like you're talking about, look, you can only I don't want to say this the wrong way, because I think they did some terrific work. All right, they really did, and when you look back on it, but.
Absolutely. I think Deadly Prey is an enormously entertaining movie.
If you look at the box art on Deadly Prey, you'll get an example of what I'm talking about. They used to sell this stuff, and if you watch Rewind This, they used to sell this stuff with this really terrific box art, and then you get this movie that looks like it's made for fucking $5 in somebody's backyard.
Yeah.
And that can only go on for so long before people start to get wise to it.
Okay, yeah.
And that's really part of the problem more than anything else, any government deregulation or anything else. I think if people started to get wise to it and they stopped buying it.
But now we're in this nostalgic age where on eBay you can find a copy of a weird video called "Devil Doll from Hell," and it'll sell for $800.
Fuck yeah, man! That's the way it is.
True that.
Okay, let's get back to now we got to talk about the guy with the mirrored sunglasses. That's this chubby
Fritz,
dude.
man, Fritz is the shit, bro.
He comes out and he's like this ultimate bad. He looks like he belongs at the end of Scarface.
He looks like Roddy Piper ate Roddy Piper.
Oh God, bless Roddy Piper. God, I miss that dude. I so miss him.
But yeah, so Fritz obviously gained a few pounds in the interim here, in the 28-year interim, and they try and film it so that they don't show his gut. But like, the guy's a pretty big dude.
They load him up with all this ammo and everything.
Yeah.
He does look scary.
He's still got some definition in his arms, but this dude has gained
he could probably kick
a
our
couple
asses,
of guys
definitely.
since 1987.
Yeah. All of his dialogue is just sort of like, he just sort of talks like this, you know.
Yeah, pretty much. But he's still wearing the same sunglasses, and I love, that's where the charm of this movie. It's like I don't feel that you will fully appreciate it.
Well, maybe
the guy shows up, and Hogan's like, "Hey, you look just like your brother." This is awesome. He's like, "Man, you really do. Hey, your brother was a good soldier. Kill this guy, would you?" Like,
Kill this guy, would you?
Kill this guy, would you? Kill this guy, would you?
Like, fuck, this is awesome, dude. Like, I mean, you have to appreciate how stupid it is to love it.
I will give you this, Andrew. I was not looking at it the way you were. You were obviously looking at it, looking to have a good time. I was expecting Deadly Prey 2. I was trying, because I was so impressed by the first Deadly Prey. I really seriously was. I was expecting it to be complete shit. And it wasn't. And then I expect that with the resources that Pryor had in shooting the second movie, that it would be even better. And
you would think that it would be, but I have
but
to.
If
they
you're
had a
looking
lot
at
of
it,
fun
I
with
guess
this
it
movie,
makes
and that's
sense.
what I appreciated. That came through. It came through how much fun they had making it and how silly they were being. I do wish that they had shown some more technical prowess. Like a lot of time has passed and technology has gotten better, and I think they could have done a better job technically. But still, and I also they could have done better. Those actors playing those hacker guys were terrible. That whole thing was awful.
You're gonna be sorry you did that.
Somehow, I don't think so.
Holy shit. He just blew her fucking head off.
I told you guys to wait outside.
Yeah, I know, man, I know. I just thought maybe we could help.
I thought you might want to see this. I found him creeping around out in front of the house.
Michael, you okay? Yeah. Listen, these are Daddy's friends. They're gonna take you somewhere safe, okay, while I go get Mom. You guys okay with that?
I was hoping we could help you a little more than that.
Listen to me. You go back out there, Hogan's gonna kill you for sure. Just take him somewhere safe, and I'll hook up with you later.
Sure.
Yeah, you got it.
Of course.
Hey, Michael, we're gonna get Mom. Don't worry. Go with them. Go. Go.
Come on. True that.
The only reason they were there in the first place was to take the role of the people that were killed needlessly, so that the wife and kid didn't have to get killed.
That was
the only reason they were
the thing
there.
is, we have no sympathy for those people, though.
Right, I didn't.
It doesn't affect you on the level of when his first wife died.
Well, we didn't know the wife either. In the first movie, she was barely a character, and then she gets raped and killed, and we're like, "Holy fuck, that's fucked up." But we didn't know who she was.
We didn't know, but we knew he meant something to her, though.
That's true. And here he had a kid, and you just can't do that. That's like killing a dog.
Oh my God! When I saw the kid, when I saw the wife and kid, I was like, "Oh my God, he's going to kill the wife and kid now to up the ante on this movie." And I was like,
"Yeah, I thought about that too."
I was pleased to find out it didn't actually.
Thank God they're going to kill these fucking crap ass hackers. Instead.
I cannot believe that that kind of bug. They come out in the middle of it's mano a mano.
Yeah, how did they even get there? What happened with that?
They have GPS. I don't know. Maybe they put a homing beacon up his butt. I don't know what they did, but they're good. Don't you understand, man?
Those are some good hackers, all right.
Those are some
They may be
awesome
shitty actors, but they're good fucking hackers.
Shitty hackers. They come up. Well, first let's get to, again, it's kind of a retread. They abduct Danton's wife and child, no, they abduct his wife. He takes it. They leave the kid, which is interesting. Big Teeth, evil brunette, arranges for the wife to be abducted,
right.
And it's the same beats. They're out there. He's tormenting the wife. I forget. Doesn't he? Oh, okay. I know. I think I know what happens. Is he leaves the kid in the charge of the hackers, and the hackers being irresponsible.
Yeah, and then
boobs.
they bring him there.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck was that?
Irresponsible, but what? He doesn't have any friends in it.
Back out to the woods, like wherever the hell all this is going on. I don't know what the hell.
And then they show up.
deserve to get killed just for that.
They show up and they're like, "We're here to rescue you," and he's like, "You shouldn't have come."
Yeah,
he's like,
dumbass.
He's right, and then blows them away. They don't even die good.
Kill all them guys.
True that.
And then he starts shooting, but like he's obviously in a completely different. Oh, this is when they first show up. And he's obviously in a completely different place, and there's no bullets, no squibs, no nothing hitting the car. And he's like, and Danton takes like a half hour getting into the car. Like,
you know what I was hoping? I was hoping in that scene where the guy was shooting, Fritz was shooting at the car. I was hoping that they would be like, "Is everybody all right?" And then we don't hear the girl. We look over and she's been shot in the head.
Nah.
And she belches out a little blood out of her mouth and says,
she goes,
"True that." You know.
True that.
That's what I was hoping. I was hoping for a little bit of, like, you know, when Ernest Borgnine died in Escape from New York.
I was just looking at it and going, nah, that wasn't the best. That wasn't done as well as it could have been. And then they move so fast that it doesn't matter.
Okay, let's wrap this up. So we get to... All right. We get to the point when the hackers are killed.
Yay!
And then Fritz is about to finish the deal. That's applause for everybody. They're dead. Now Fritz is about to finish the job when he gets shot. Well, first there's a nice fist fight, a little bit of a fist fight between the two.
And then guess what? His arm gets cut off.
His arm gets cut off, and yes, we go through the whole thing of beating the person with the arm.
Yeah.
And then he gets shot by the kid.
Yep.
The kid is there, saves his life, which is pretty awesome. I like that.
I love that. All I could think about when Danton leaves the wife and the kid, and he hands this 12-year-old kid a fucking Beretta.
Yeah.
All I could think about was Heather watching that, going like, "Oh my god, I can't take a minute." He's giving this kid the gun to protect his mom. And the kid is too young for that. Like, he's not, his mom should be protecting him.
The gun is bigger than the kid.
Yeah,
it's die, you motherfuckers!
Yeah, die, motherfucker! Yeah, but the kid kills him, shoots him, boom.
And
no scalping this time.
No scalping, no.
There was an attempted scalping.
So then, of course, the kid kills Fritz. Well, he shoots him and then he finishes him off. And then we get the final fight between Hogan and Danton, and it's at this point that you have to question Hogan's motivations. I mean, I don't think that
a lot of things at this point in the movie. I mean, there is just a whole lot of questioning going on.
I don't think that he was thinking about internet. I don't think he was being an internet entrepreneur for entertainment. I think he was just out for revenge and wanted the world to see it through their computers.
You really
or something.
think that?
Yeah, I think he 28 years. How dare this motherfucker do what he did to me? And then,
because I was wondering about what Hogan's true motivation was.
Yeah, I mean, the guy killed his wife. He raped and killed his wife, and he thinks
apparently
he's the
story had forgotten about that. By the way.
Yeah, I know, and it was like a downer. It was meant to be, but this
it was a downer. It was odd. It was out of place. It was strange.
And this movie goes opposite. We get a happy ending, sort of. Well, first,
Yeah.
we have to have Hogan's death, which turns in. He has this elaborate booby trap that he set earlier in the movie. We're not quite sure what he did. And then we see what it is. It's like this garroting, drawing, and quartering machine that just slices him into pieces.
Right.
Shit.
And the look on Hogan's face, he's got this, and he says, "Fuck." You know, and it's almost play. I do believe that was kind of played for laughs. A little bit of that was played for laughs.
Oh, the whole
good
movie
effect. That was a good
laughs,
that was a good graphic effect. That actually turned out well.
The whole thing of him laying on his legs pointed the other way was really well done. I thought I liked that.
That was well accomplished, and that's where some of the money was spent. I'm convinced, at least for a really good.
That didn't cost anything. That was just like that. That cost.
I saw
ingenuity.
guts, I saw blood, I saw entrails, and I saw like a body figure. You know, and it looked real to me. It looked kind of real to me. It didn't look as fake as those other some of those other things. Some of the trick photography they did. There was like a scene early on where a guy gets a projectile branch goes straight through his neck, but it doesn't.
That was
look
a knife
like
that goes through his throat, and like he had this terrible prosthetic on there that you could totally see the whole time, and then the knife goes through it.
Yeah.
Now
that kind of stuff doesn't look convincing, but this one they obviously they took their time and shot it in the right way, but like I said, there's a couple of things here. I get I get like a sense of lower production value and some clunky editing there, but
they're definitely there's definitely some bad editing, bad blocking, some bad lighting setups.
Some of them,
just like lighting setups that don't match. So like you're filming two sides of a conversation, and the other one side doesn't match the other.
And the dead.
And these
giveaway.
are common problems that have always plagued AIP movies.
Right. I think the real dead giveaway is the sound. You can sort of ascertain the hiss level and how it's different. Like if you one of the things I always try to do is when I'm doing a scene in a room, I try to stay in that room until I'm absolutely done with the scene, because you get room tone problems if you try to go back and reshoot.
See, I remember when they first cut to like that whatever the hell room that was where like their central command is, where Hogan's central command is.
Yeah.
Now, it looks like some kind of it sounds like they're in an airplane hangar or something. Like the sound is terrible in there.
It's very
echoey. It's not well done at all. And I really think when that came along, and like I'm looking at the lighting and I'm looking at stuff not matching. I'm like, man, come on, you guys could have done this better technically, and made fun. Otherwise, like you act like you haven't learned anything in 28 years.
Well, sound is always always a problem. With every movie, no matter what, you have to.
It's been 28 years worth of technology, dude.
What I'm surprised they should have. I felt like they weren't using any wireless mics. I would have used wireless mics for that, because I felt like it was all done with a boom. So that's why I'll be investing in wireless mics for my next movie, so I don't have any problems with booms or anything like that.
Hallelujah! Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?
So, let's wrap it up. This has been Extreme Cinema, action and exploitation movies with David Lawler and Andrew LeGank, and we were talking about Deadly Prey from 1987 and its sequel, The Deadliest Prey, from 2013.
True that.
You have been listening to Extreme Cinema with Andrew LeGank and David Lawler.